you'll be able to watch this even and see the demo. So again, my name is Debbie. I'm Tony's mom, and I'm the current executive director of the Compassionate Friends. And right now I have Kathy Seahatter with us, and Kathy is the director of online services. Kathy, would you like to say hello and introduce your loved ones?
Can you see me, Debbie? All of a sudden there's nothing there.
Okay, I can see you.
Can you see me? Okay, well then that's fine. I don't need to see myself.
Okay.
I'm Kathy Seahatter, and as Debbie said, I'm Director of Online Services, and I'm also a regional coordinator, and I'm the conference chair this year. I was it in 2011 in Bloomington, Minnesota, and I'm really excited to be. I've been doing this year again with Debbie and Terry this year, so that's been wonderful in our wonderful conference committee. I also am a bereaved mom, and I lost my daughter Nina 23 years ago, which is unbelievable to me. When she was 15 years old, she was killed by a drunk driver. And my son 6 years ago, Christopher, who took his own life. So I've been with Compassionate Friends for a very, very long time. I started out as a newly bereaved mom, and all these years, here I am still. So thankful for everything that I received, the love and the support and the hope from Compassionate Friends, and I hope that I'm giving back in some small way. So we're so glad you're coming to the conference, and thank you for volunteering to be a moderator.
Yes, absolutely. And I have found that helping is healing, and I hope that, especially if this is the first time that you've helped at a conference, that you find the same thing as well. While we greatly look forward to the conference, we have to keep, I have to keep reminding myself that there are many, just like I was what seems only a few years ago in 2011, walking into the conference for the first time. So thank you for volunteering. It means so much. So as a workshop moderator or as a sharing session facilitator or as a sharing session moderator, there's really just a few things that you need to be aware of. And what it looks like Terry has joined us now. I'm promoting her. What I'm going to do is just kind of give you, first of all, an overview of our conference itself so that you know what to expect when you get there, if you haven't been there before, as well as, where we need your help. So, Terry, before we dive into that, would you go ahead and introduce yourself? Terry Novy's our Director of Chapter Services. So go ahead, Terry.
I apologize, everybody. I did not find the correct Zoom address, so I've been texting you girls, and now I'm finally on. So sorry. So we are super excited about St. Louis. We cannot wait to get there. We worked so hard, and we think we're going to present a very lovely conference. And I know that I've met many of you, and some of the moderators I have not met, but let's amend that when we get to St. Louis, and we're ready to blow your socks off.
Okay, well, thanks, Terry. And so just to give you kind of an overview of St. Louis, again, not knowing who all has been to prior conferences before, but for those that have, you'll remember that in the last 2 years, we were at a lovely resort. Last year in Orlando and the year before in Scottsdale. And it was beautiful there, but it had some disadvantages. And the disadvantages, of course, are that people couldn't, from our survey results, food wasn't as affordable had it been in a downtown location. And, you couldn't just walk to perhaps a Subway or something where you could get something priced differently than hotel foods. Even though it's lovely and good, you pay for that. So in St. Louis, it offers us a very different venue there, where we are downtown St. Louis, and within walking distance, you have a theater, a movie theater across the street. You have the Blues Museum. You also have lots of eateries nearby, some pretty fabulous barbecue places, President Obama's favorite pizza place, and some other places, you know, for breakfast or lunch or dinner. And also a full service grocery store within 2 blocks of the conference. So that's wonderful, so that you can step out if you'd like and get you some more affordable water or sodas or snacks or anything like that. So for that reason, I love St. Louis, and the people found, and the 2 visits that we've gone there have been very warm and welcoming. And one thing that the staff at the hotel is doing, all of the paid staff will be coming in on Monday, and so there's just a small group of us, like 6 people, and but the staff has requested to have some sensitivity training. So we're going to talk and meet with them, both shifts of the staff on Monday afternoon, so that they really know what to expect and what they should and shouldn't say. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the type of friendliness and hospitality that you and everyone else attending can expect to see. The hotel itself actually covers 2 blocks. On one block, there's the hotel structure that has all of the sleeping rooms, and on the other block is where all of the conference meeting rooms are, but you never have to go outside. And one thing that you'll see a sign in every elevator, as well as on the tables waiting at where the elevator banks are, signs directing our participants to go to concourse level C. And you want to go there because as you walk from the hotel over to the conference building, you're going to pass some really neat things. This year, we're having something called the TCF Marketplace. And in the TCF Marketplace, we have some third-party vendors that are coming in to offer some items that I think our attendees will be interested in. For example, we have some jewelry, we have aromatherapy, we have personalized products that can be made, all kinds of different things, as well as our silent auction and raffle will be there. And then we also have our butterfly boutique. And it's going to be quite the experience this year. Roy and Barbara Davies are the ones that are the volunteer committee chairs for that, and they have just gotten all kinds of things to really make it a boutique experience. And then outside of those 2 rooms, and again, this is just after you come down from your hotel room, reach the concourse level, and start walking to the other building, there's also what we're calling the gathering place. And this will be an area where from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Friday and Saturday morning, you don't have to compete with the rest of the hotel people that are staying there. We will have our own separate coffee bar along with some light breakfast items that you can purchase. So that'll be set up for 2 hours prior to anything starting. There'll also be a phone charging station that's secure, that you don't have to go all the way back to your room, that you can go there, lock up your phone, and then sit and visit with other individuals attending the conference in the gathering place, or browse through the marketplace or the butterfly boutique. So then when you do get to the, and what you don't realize is that you're actually walking under a street. And then you'll run into, as you come up the escalators, our hug station, a wonderful addition from a couple of years ago, and registration will be there. And then on the 2 floors of that building are where our workshops are predominantly. There'll be maps throughout in our conference book as well as our app. There are maps. So it's, maybe at first you may think, oh, I'm not sure about getting here or there, but it really is very easy to navigate, and we've ordered extra signs this year. So Kathy, what do you want to add as far as the overall offerings and things for the conference and the setting?
Oh, well, let's see. We have really a lot of signs this year, and some of the really cool things that we have this year that are different is that we're having some directional signs that actually have been sponsored by people, and they have clever names. They're on a little, you probably can't even see my hands. I'm gesturing here. They're kind of long. Yeah. And they have, really nice names. Like, Debbie, you tell what you did in honor of Tony.
Tony had his pilot's license and was a pilot, and so we have a picture of Tony and his sister in a plane, and so we called it Tony's Runway.
Yeah, very cute. And I did one in memory of my daughter Nina and son Christopher, and it's called Nina and Chris's Highway to Hope, which of course is the one thing that we want everybody to take home with them is hope. And there'll be lots of signs, so you're going to have a hard time actually getting lost. When we all went the first time together, there was a lot of that getting lost, but you won't have any problems. Debbie talked about the Concourse C, and that is going to be where all the kind of fun things are, lighthearted things, I guess is what I'd like to call it. But, if you like to shop, bring something home for somebody, and we always want you to go to Concourse C, because that's where a lot of things are going on. There'll be a sign on a table when you come out of the escalator telling you to go to Concourse C. You'll also have on the door of the elevator in the inside directions telling you to go to Concourse C, and the other floors too that you'll need. And we just planned a lot of really interesting things this year that are new, a lot of new workshops, and some of the tried and true, the ones that we like to come back every year too, and our sharing sessions, and it's going to be a great experience. A lot of new things. And we're all there to help. We're there to help you, all the national office. If you have questions, somebody's always going to be there for answer a question, to give a hug, whatever you need, we're here.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. And Terry, would you like to give a little, an overview or highlights of things about this particular conference that we would like our sharing session facilitators or session moderators to know about?
Well, I wanted to mention that we have a pretty awesome walk to remember on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And we're meeting in a beautiful Statler ballroom that was authentic to the old hotel. And we actually walk through the streets of St. Louis. And then when we walk a few blocks, we're into a plaza, and you can see the arch. You can see the old Capitol building. There could be food trucks down there. We have transportation to help those who need help getting back to the hotel. It's not walking around property. It's actually walking in the city streets. And what we found St. Louis so darn interesting, because they have all these old buildings that they're now converting into lofts and really interesting stuff. So I think everybody will be, it'll be a different kind of walk for you. And the end of the walk is just perfect. So that's pretty special, I think. And we have a lot of new sharing sessions, and as Kathy said, new workshops. And we've tried to integrate a lot of new things into our conference and still still keep the things that worked well in the past. So I think you'll fall in love with St. Louis like we did. I think that it's a place you can get around and walk outside. You're not stuck in a hotel. And actually, the navigation to this place is so easy if you just go to Concourse C.
You're going to hear that a lot.
You walk into the gathering place, the silent auction, the butterfly boutique, the marketplace, get a breakfast sandwich, a cup of coffee. You walk down the hall a little bit more, go up an escalator, and bam, you're there. And it's only 2 floors, Landmark and Majestic, and that's it, except for our siblings are tucked away in a very, very cool place for them. They have the run of a floor, and it's very private for them. And then we've put our Healing Haven up into a very quiet location that's very serene and easy to get to. So we're tired, but we're excited.
That's for sure.
That's a good point. Because we get there earlier than anyone else, we're really finishing up on things that have to be completed. So let's get to your volunteer opportunity. If you are a moderator of either a workshop or a sharing session, you have a very important role. And that's to help whoever the facilitator is or the workshop presenter. And the ways that you're going to help them is you'll be at the back of the room. You'll have, for those individuals that don't have an app, to complete their survey of the facilitator or workshop presenter. You'll be giving those to those individuals. You'll also be closing the door when most everyone is in there, so that facilitator or workshop presenter can do what they need to do. And you want to prompt them. It's about time to get started. Maybe our watches, and you want to do that gently. Maybe our watches are different, but I've got, it's like a minute after now, because we want to keep people on schedule. And then as people come in, you want to, if the room is full, you want to have an idea of where empty chairs are, so you can whisper in their ear, there's some chairs up front. Because as with church, everybody sits in the back, it seems like. So likely some chairs up front. You also want to be able to give your facilitator or your workshop presenter some hand and arm signals, if you will. So, holding your hand up cupped behind your ear, like, not saying it out loud, but letting them know that, they need to speak a little louder, that you can't hear them clearly in the back. Or perhaps someone has asked a question and you want to, maybe raise your hand and point out or say, I believe you have a question over here. You may have to stand up and start to walk forward to get their attention. So really you're kind of the crowd control, even though, it's not necessarily a crowd in the room, but you're there to support that facilitator and the workshop presenter so that our attendees get the most that they can out of each session. Now, our sessions for the workshops are 1 hour and 15 minutes this year. One of the common comments that we received last year from the conference was that, in order to try to get more workshops in, they had limited the workshops to 1 hour. And we received many, many comments that they really wanted 1 hour and 15 minutes so that there would be ample time for questions and answers. And if people had questions throughout, 1 hour just didn't seem like enough time. So we went back to the 75-minute schedule. Now, there's a 30-minute passing period between workshops. So that's great because it's hard to move 1,000 people around, between rooms to get from one point to the other. So we do have 30 minutes built in. Now, the trick to that, and this is where it comes in, and you'll play a very big role with that, is I'm sure, as you've seen from your own experience, that there are oftentimes people that go up to the presenter afterwards and they've got questions, and or they want to make a comment or something like that. And so you may have 4 or 5 people that gather around that facilitator, but yet we need them to leave as quickly as possible so that the next facilitator can get in and get things, get themselves positioned. Now, they won't have to move chairs around or anything. We've already turned in a list for every workshop of the setup that is required. So I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, I'm going to go in and do heavy lifting. That's not it at all. It's just a matter of making sure that, you know, no one left an empty water bottle behind, just kind of tidying up. And then I don't want to leave you with the impression that we're rushing people. We're not. But, you know, things that you could do is if the facilitator had handouts and there were some extras at the back, you could gather those up for the facilitator. If they had different things maybe hung up and, you know, behind them, you could start gathering those things for them. As people leave, you want to make sure that you remind them, oh, where's your evaluation? I didn't get that. Oh, maybe you misplaced it. Here's another one. Would you mind just take a few minutes and answer these short questions? It will only take you about 15 seconds. Now, the reason that is important is because it helps us make the best decisions possible on who to have as returning workshop presenters. And we want that constructive feedback. If someone has, you know, they couldn't hear or they didn't think the presentation flowed clearly. There's a lot of checkbox questions, but honestly, it will only take 10 to 15 seconds. So, you know, you may want to stand up and remind people at the end of the workshop to say, don't forget, I'm standing here at the door to collect your workshop evaluations, and you can even make it fun. Now remember, I'm not letting you out of here until you hand me a workshop evaluation. Now, the little twist we have to that is this year we have an app that we'll go into a little bit later. So not everyone, and in fact, we hope the minority, will actually be writing out their evaluation. We're hoping that the majority of people will be completing their evaluation on the app itself. Now, you may have some people that come up and ask you, you know, how is it? Where do I find that survey again? We did a webinar just like this for workshop presenters, but you know how sometimes when you speak in front of a group, you get a little nervous and it's like, oh, I don't remember. You know, maybe you could help them out there as well. And if you're a sharing session moderator, they're kind of the same thing. Now, something we're doing a little bit differently, those sharing sessions were not evaluated previously as the workshops were, and they're going to be evaluated this year. And again, that's going to help us determine, do we need additional sharing sessions? Maybe we offered one time and maybe the room was overflowing. We need to know that. Or maybe someone could have really done a lot better in facilitating. We need to know that. So that's why we need those evaluations. And again, as the moderator, you're the one that's going to be reminding people, don't forget, we need that evaluation so we can make the best possible experience next year in Philadelphia. So Terry and Kathy, what are some things I may have overlooked as a moderator, whether for a workshop or a sharing session?
You had mentioned a little bit about the quiet aspect, and I know when I was looking over some evaluations last year, they did mention the slamming of the doors. So that might be something that you could be aware of, and make sure the doors are closed gently. Maybe you could do it rather than the people that are coming in a little late. Also, what you'll be doing is you'll be introducing the workshop presenters, but not everybody necessarily wants you to do that. So it's really nice if you have a little powwow ahead of time with your workshop presenter and say, would you like me to introduce you? And then you can actually read their little bio out of either the app or in the book, the conference book, and you can arrange that with them. Another thing is we always want to make sure that either the moderator or the workshop presenter introduces a sponsor of that particular workshop or sharing session. And I think Terry mentioned last night that, you could even get the sign that's off the easel in the front and bring it in so they can actually see who the person is that they're introducing. And, make sure that you mention their child or their sibling or their grandchild, because we all want to hear their names. And this was very special to them to be able to have the sponsorship. So if you can remember to do that with the workshop presenter, that would be wonderful.
Great. Terry, anything that you want to add to that?
Just a little bit. The workshop presenter, they're anxious to get their workshop started. So it's very helpful to get the folks in and like Debbie said, find a place for them to sit. And Kathy said, maybe open the door rather than let the door slam. And, you have a little bit of control in the room, because it's great to have a great moderator in your workshop to be able to, if they don't have the app, if they need a paper evaluation, to be able to hand those out as well. And if there's handouts, that's great to assist the speaker. And, one little last thing, and is when the presenter finishes and you say, so everybody that didn't have their app, if I could have your evaluation sheets, and also don't forget to pick up your bags and your purses and stuff, because a lot of that gets left behind and people get frustrated and nervous, and we're trying to make it a calm experience for them for the entire weekend. So just a little bit.
Oh, thank you. That's such a good point, because I'm forever leaving something. And while our conference bags are wonderful, they all look alike. So we do have from Kathy, I think it's your chapter.
It is, right. You could tell, did you see that was coming out of my mouth? Our chapter actually has gotten like little luggage tag type things, so that all you have to do is just write, put it onto your strap and just write your name on it. And so that'll kind of distinguish one from the other.
Absolutely. So that's wonderful. So let's get into demonstrating the app. And we won't take too long with this, but I do want to give you a preview of it. And as I said, it's available for download already. So get it and play with it. You'll see that people have already downloaded it. So it'll take me just a second to share my screen, and I'm actually going to share my phone, and so that you can see the app. It should be coming up, and now let me get over to the app. I'm sorry, something came up on my screen. So I'm able to pick it out easily, just as you will on the App Store or the Google Marketplace, because it's got that beautiful red cardinal and the arch. So when you open the app, it's very intuitive. It's very easy to use. So we kept it as simple as we could for our first year adoption. And what we have are 9 buttons that you can click on to get additional information. So on your screen, you see 9 circles, and I'm just going to demo a couple of those. If you wanted to know what the overall schedule is, you simply tap on schedule, and then it will open. And you'll notice in the big white box at the top, it says Thursday the 26th. So you can find out just by looking on your phone right now before the conference. And again, any smartphone you can do this on. You have the conference check-in. If you've already pre-registered, or on-site registration, and that's open from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then you can just thumb up and see, page up everything that's available on Thursday before the conference actually begins. Maybe you want to go to Friday, you just roll that over at the top. You can see it's Saturday now. And again, this is the overall schedule. So if you're doing the workshop 4, and it's from 9 a.m. to 10:15, let's say you're walking in the hall at 9 and you wonder, well, what's going on? You can look on your overall schedule to see, oh, well, everybody's in a workshop now. And maybe you want to know what is offered right now in the workshop. So you'll notice just below the schedule is a button that says workshops. And you just click on that. And then again, at the top, it will have the day. And so you have Friday the 27th. And then you first have the sessions that are offered at 10:45. And so, again, you can just page up and go all the way to the bottom and see different workshops. Maybe I want to see, this workshop that's offered from 4 to 5:15, writing a memoir of your child's life. What's that about? All you have to do is click on that, and you'll see that a description comes up on your phone. It tells you not only the start and end time, but also tells you what it's about. Now, here's the important part for our moderators. When you page up at the bottom, you'll see support material. In the support material, it says a survey. And if you click on that, that's where they go to fill out their survey. It's very easy to do. Radio buttons, you anywhere from strongly agree to strongly disagree. You just click next and you go to the next question. You can have this completed in probably 15 seconds. Another feature that we're adding this year is the cost for making handouts has gotten very cost prohibitive for many of our volunteer workshop presenters. And that's something that they pay for themselves. When we get the handouts loaded, and we don't have any loaded yet from the workshop presenters, they'll appear at the bottom. Just as with any app, there's more than one way to go to get to what you need. So you could click on that button for workshops, but maybe you don't want to go and thumb through all of the different days. At the very top left, there are 3 bars, horizontal bars, and if you click on those, it will bring a further menu that gives you additional items. And if you wanted to know about the handouts, you simply click on the title handouts, and then each workshop, workshop 1 through workshop 7, is listed. So even if you didn't get to go to a workshop, there are so many to choose from, and maybe you couldn't decide, but you'd like to know, was there a handout or something? You'll have access to all handouts that were available during the conference. So even if you missed a workshop, maybe you were helping console someone that's newly bereaved, or you run into an old friend and you weren't able to get to the workshop, you can click on the workshop folder, and then all of them will be available there. So to me, I think that's a very nice addition, because before, if you didn't get to the workshop, you didn't get anything from it. So now you'll have access to a little more. Our sharing sessions, because I know we have sharing session moderators joining this webinar, you'll notice right in the middle of the app, are the sharing sessions, and organized just like the workshops. It's by day and then by time, and you can page up through the app, or you can go over to a different day and find, for example, on Saturday, we have early morning sharing sessions that start at 7:45, and then we have evening ones after our candle lighting dinner, starting at 9:30. So you can see who's the facilitator, you can see what time it is, and you can also see where it is. So other things that we have, if you want to know about the TCF SIB program, you can look there for workshops that are available only for our TCF SIBs. Or maybe you wanted more information on the TCF Marketplace. You would just click on that button. So I hope that you think that it's easy to use. I will mention one last item, and that's the social media feed. I think this is very neat. On the social media feed, when it comes up, and it takes a minute to load, you'll see that it has the feed from our actual Facebook page for the Compassionate Friends USA. And anything that's been posted on that page will appear here. You can also post yourself or anyone that's attending the conference here. You can post it so that it goes out everywhere. You can post it maybe just internally. Like here we have someone that's going to be attending that has posted some pictures already so that we can see, we can like it just like you do on Facebook. We can add a comment. We can share it with someone else. We'll also be using this app to push alerts. And so if the opening session is ready to begin, we might push out an alert that says, don't forget the opening session starting at 9 a.m. in the Majestic Ballroom. Don't be late. Or we might say, there's only 2 hours left in the silent auction. Make sure that you check on anything that you've bid on to make sure you're the highest bidder. So all kinds of things that we can put there. And then you can receive alerts, you can make notes. So please go ahead and download this app. If you have a smartphone, download it now and become familiar with it before you even arrive at the conference. So Terry and Kathy, is there anything else that you would like me to point out on this app?
I think it's very easy to use, and you know, so often you can't find your book, but you can certainly find your phone. And I think that this is a really great convenience that we're offering this year with our app, and it's user friendly, and those 3 little buttons they're key. Yes. I think they're really important. So I think with the app and all the signage, it's going to be a smashing conference.
Okay, great. Kathy?
Well, I was just thinking we haven't mentioned too much about some of our keynote speakers, and I just was aware of that here in the middle on the top. It tells about our 4 keynote speakers, and so it's a good way for people to know a bit about them before they actually write. Nisha and Stefan and Basha and Chris Lareco.
Yes.
Which is for Sibling Sunday, so that'll give you a little bit about them, and you'll know a little bit what they might be talking about. So it's a wonderful app. I think it's really user-friendly. If I can do it, anybody can. So,
yeah. Okay, well, you know, we don't want to take all of your time this evening. We do very much appreciate all of those that have joined us, and we will be sending this out by email to all of our facilitators for the sharing sessions and all of our moderators for workshops, as well as for the sharing sessions. So thank you for joining us. Don't hesitate to contact us. I think email probably is going to be the best opportunity during this next week, or through the app. Send us a message there because we'll be off-site, away from the office, and working hard to get everything ready. Any last words from either of you, Kathy or Terry?
Oh, let's see. I was just wondering if would you have any questions from anybody? Did anybody want to ask us anything?
Yeah, let me look at the Q&A box. So we did have a question. One person, it looks like Sarah, had asked, what do we do with the evaluations after we've received them? So that's a good question. So one of the things that you're going to need to do is check into the volunteer box, or volunteer station. And when you check into the volunteer station, they're going to have an envelope for you. And in that envelope, you'll have the evaluations that you'll take with you to your workshop. You can pick those up ahead of time. You don't have to wait to right before your session that you're moderating begins. And then after you've collected any workshop evaluations, put them back in the envelope and return them to the volunteer desk. And I don't see any other questions.
Okay.
So hopefully, and we'll be sending you some information by email as well, and we'll have instructions for you. So don't think like, oh my gosh, how am I going to remember everything? You'll have a sheet in your envelope that will give you some basic instructions.
Exactly. I was thinking that same thing too. I think you might sit down a webinar and you have things coming at you and you might be thinking, yikes, how am I going to remember all that? And really, you can watch us again also if you wanted to. And like you said, Debbie, ask questions. And we're just very, very thankful for anybody who volunteers, and no matter what the task you're doing, we are really, really appreciative of you and for taking time out of your conference experience to, help others.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, well, thank you, everyone. We greatly look forward to seeing you very, very soon in St. Louis. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. See you in St.
In
Louis.
St. Louis.